data. 50,000 banks globally will pay to store data. And all of them, by law, require an immutable data source. Right now, they have worm technology. They have optical drives. It's slow, it's horrible, it's expensive. Bitcoin solves it. That's use. Exchanges are casinos, they're not use. We want markets. Markets are using something. Markets involve end users, buying and selling commodities. And here's the thing no one seems to get. There are two types of money in human history. Two. One, fiat. Everyone knows what fiat is? Yeah, that's that thing that government makes us pay tax in. Two, commodity money. Bitcoin is a commodity ledger. The end. Commodities have value. So, goal of Bitcoin. We have one way to be cash, and that is to be a commodity. If you're not a commodity, you're nothing. You can either be legal tender because the government says you are legal tender, in which case they can decide whatever the hell they want every week. They can print another $1 trillion. Thank you, US. That's the reality of how it works. But if you have a commodity, that's where markets come into play. Markets buy and sell goods and services. They don't have anything to do with speculators. We've got this idea that Wall Street have sold us, that markets are a whole lot of really fast traders flipping things around and ripping off pension funds. They're not. Sorry. Peer-to-peer web payments. Alice, Bob, I want to pay you. The problem has always been simple for peer-to-peer. The problem is double spending. Double spending is solved by having competitive miners. That's it. Miners compete to solve a problem. Miners are competitive. And there can only ever be one blockchain at scale. I said this many times, one or nothing. Everything fails but one. So you can create tokens, you can do other things, but only one blockchain is ever going to survive. So we're going to enable web payments. Buyer, seller. You need a record by law. I don't care what people say. Right now they say, oh, but cash. Cash requires you have a record. When you go to the till, they print out invoices. If you go to even a dry cleaner or cash industry, they get audited so heavily right now because it's so easy to try and get around cash. But what they now do is they use analytics. I know, I helped develop some of these things. I wrote the Manford Law module for R and a few other things. Not that most people know that, but it's an accounting test to look for fraud. That's the sort of code I used to do. I used to work for accounting firms years ago, as well as other things. And blockchain creates a way of not having fraud. So we want to time access. We want other people to get in there and be able to use our service and do it as we want. Create smart contracts. Create digital ownership. Allow people to do everything as packet by packet exchange of anything we want. So, instant transactions. I'm sorry, 10 minutes is settlement time. Right now, settlement time is 2 days on, say, the CME, the BIS, whatever else. 2 days. We have 10 minutes. This idea that blocks being faster, that doesn't actually matter. The actual time in Bitcoin is under 2 seconds right now. And as miners get bigger, it's faster. At scale, Bitcoin would be probably 80 milliseconds, and that's your clearance. And it's a very simple way of doing things. You put back what was there in the first place. IP to IP was originally in Bitcoin. what do? I send a transaction to the merchant saying this is what I want. The merchant sends me a template. I put in the transaction I want. I send it back to the merchant. The merchant broadcasts it. That's basically peer-to-peer. Done. Really hard, isn't it? That's what Bitcoin was there to do. And it allowed instantaneous transactions, allowing you to have an invoice stored securely, immutably on-chain. What we call patent number 42 that has been granted is a Diffie-Hellman exchange mechanism where we can now have a joint key. So the merchant and the buyer can securely lock away and encrypt data such that other people, such as the tax office, can instantly audit. No more having to worry about audits. Just done. Small business would love that. At the same time, you cannot lose records. If you lose records, you're in trouble. That simple. If you're a public company and you lose records, the CEO goes to jail now. They're the new laws. I'm sure public companies in the US don't want to go to jail. Starbucks. If Starbucks lose records, the CEO can go to jail. That's why they care about their IT systems and why they don't do things like, if there's a outage, allowing people to still trade, because they can't, but they can with Bitcoin. So, smart card. Some of the other things we've been doing. 192, we've just been over here arguing with the patent office to get that one through. So, lots of hard work from patent attorneys and all the rest. That enables a secure way of having a hierarchical wallet, not the crap that is Bit32, but one that is an immutable index that is completely private and encrypts things like records, so that we can actually save invoices, data, transaction information, and still link it to a key that is never used. We now are going to have that as a fast, reliable system, including backups. Some of the technologies, including thresholding and whatever else that we have been creating, means that an exchange doing this would not ever have a Mt. Gox. Very simple. You could actually have a shared key where it appears just to be a standard type 1 Bitcoin address, and yet it's not. We have a number of other things. There is a couple new forms of crypto that will be coming out in the next year, which allow indexing. So we have a homomorphically indexed web search encryption algorithm, and I'm sorry Gentry et al, and I'm sorry IBM, it works. Smart, we want this. We want people actually doing this stuff. So, file storage solutions. We've seen a few. People put things in op return. Boring. It's nice. Jimmy's excited. I'm not. Because this is the tip. I don't want to see a couple little things stuck there. I want to see files that can actually be transmitted individually on a timed basis. And using script, we can do this. That's one of the things MetaNet's going to enable. You'll be able to sell access to file streams online. Not the file, movies. We could actually put Netflix on the blockchain. How's that one? We can actually have you stream movies paid as you watch them. If you don't like it, you stop paying. I don't know about you, but I've watched so many movies lately that are total trash. You get in, the previews look great, then you watch the movie, 10 minutes in you go, this is horrible. Imagine incentivizing filmmakers not to give you a 5-minute preview that looks good, but to have a movie that you're going to stop watching if it's crap. Blockchain will do that for you. Bitcoin will enable that for us. We're going to enable you to have different key options and allowing with deterministic keys any file. So we have Diffie-Hellman groups for not just two parties. One of the little inventions I've come up with is a way to do it to multi-parties. In theory, you're only able to do Diffie-Hellman ECH for two. Sorry, unlimited. And it's secure. So we want IP on the blockchain. That's going to be anything, whether we're talking about copyright files, access to books, read by byte. You can actually have a transparent, simple, private, immutable, and cost-effective method of doing this. So that enables us to decide what we want to pay for, how we're going to pay for it, and enable watermarking so that it's not going to be cost-effective for anyone to try and steal and cheat and whatever else. And if they do, we have an immutable record of who's stolen. People ask, what if people put illegal files on the blockchain? You've signed a confession. When you put something on, you've signed a confession. I don't think people actually realize what that means. It is now writing with a signature. You actually go onto the blockchain, you put in a legal file, too bad. So one of the other things I've got coming out this year in one of the academic conferences is how every IP address on any blockchain can ever be monitored, including through Tor. Have a nice day. I used to do government work and whatever else. I don't like illegal activity. I like honesty. Bitcoin is not anonymous because it's meant to be honest. I don't want it so that people can do ICO scams. I don't want any of that stuff. I will help any government quite happily to take that shit down because I want average people using it. I want everyone in this world to be able to have better access to data, to come out of any country, the middle of somewhere like Nigeria or Sierra Leone, India, and access files, access information, and access data. So basically, I'm not going to give you the normal scam. I don't give a shit if you like it or not. We're just going to do one thing. We're going to give solutions to business. Thank you.